Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture series of Introduction to Python, and in this lecture we are going to discuss the data type which is most used, that is the list, in with detail. So first, the list is a mutable object and it is a collection of elements, and these elements could be of same type or different type. And the list in a Python is represented using this bracket. Let's have an example of a list. So let we write a equals to square bracket. So this is an empty list. It does not have any element. Let's take another example in which there are some elements in a list. The elements of a list can be of same type or it can be of different data types. So in this case, this list has 4 elements. The first element is of integer, then second and third and fourth. All these are of integer type, but they may of different data type also. The elements of a list can again be the list object or any other object also. So right now I have taken only the integer object for a simple understanding. The elements are indexed, that means they form a particular order, and they are indexed from starting, that is 0, 1, 2 and 3. So this is similar like array in C or C++. But in Python the lists also support, or the iterable object also support, a backward indexing which start from the end of a iterable object. That means -1, -2, -3 and -4. So we can access the element using the subscript operator and providing the appropriate index. So if I write a0, then this will print the first element which is at index 10, that is the 10. And suppose if I write a -4, so at index -4 the element 10 is existing, so the answer is again the same value, 10. Similarly we can write any index and we will get respective value. Suppose I write a -1, so this will give me the last element of the list. Sorry, a of 2 will give me 30, not 40, and a of -1 will give me the value 40, because 40 is at index -1, you can say, or you can say it is at index 3. So Python supports the forward index which are starts from 0 and they are positive indexes, and it also supports the backward indexes that start from -1. We can also create a user defined list, rather assigning a list object to some variable using list comprehension. So this is the syntax of the list comprehension. So it has generally 3 parts. First part is called expression part. So this is the expression, and then there is a second part that is called for loop, and there could be a optional conditional expression which may result into true or false. So right now I have omitted this optional part for the simplicity. So how this works? So the input function generally accepts a string from the user. So first what will happen, this input function will accept a string. Suppose user enter a string 1 3 3 5 5 5 4 times 6. Suppose this is a single string which has some spaces in between its character. So this input function is associated with a split function. So a split function does what? It splits a string by space character. So whenever it sees a space character, it splits that string. So this single string will be splitted into 4 strings from the space character. So first space is found after just 1, so 1 will be treated as a single string, then the second string will be treated as a 33, then next string will be treated as a 555, and similarly we have the last string, that is the 5 4 times 6. So this is our the last string. So we have now the collection of 4 string in this way. So what does this expression part do? It takes one element of this list and typecast it with the integer value. So first it will typecast the int 1 and it will produce answer 1, and all of this is written inside the list. So we will get our first element as a 1. Next time the 33 will be typecasted, that means, so now this will become a integer value. Now this 555 will be typecasted using expression, so now this will become 555, and finally the last element will be typecasted to integer, so this will become 4 times 6. Okay, so if you do not write int statement, so the answer we will get like something this, because the split function has just splitted the elements into the string. So if we need the elements into integer values, so we have to typecast this value. So this is the one way of creating a user defined list. There is another way of creating a user defined list using the predefined function of a list, which is the append method. So append method does what? It takes one value from the user and it appends that element into the list. So what you have to do, just take a empty list first, like in first line I have taken a empty list L, and in second line I have run a for loop for 10 times. So how this for loop works? For this you have to see the video of for loop. This loop will run for 10 times, that is 0, 1, 2 up to 9. So what will happen? These two lines will be repeated for 10 times. For first time it will ask a value from the user and then it typecasts this value into a string, and this is assigned to variable a. So first time suppose user enter the value of a as a 10, so the value of a becomes 10. Here this line does what? It appends the variable a to the end of the list. So L.append will append the first element into the list, that is the 10. For the second time suppose user give the value of a as a 20, so the second value 20 will be appended. Similarly for next values user can give up to the 10 values right here. So all these 10 values could be assigned one by one or appended one by one. So these are the two ways by which user can create a user defined list. First one was the list comprehension method, which is a shorter form, but it is a somewhat complex, but it is a just single line statement. And there is another way, that is using the append method, which has a almost 4 lines, which is a longer code but simple to understand. But as you will get familiar with the programming in Python, you will definitely use the list comprehension. It is highly used syntax. Let's talk about the accessing of list element. So let we have a list A which has some elements. then these elements will definitely have the indexes: forward index, which will start from 0, and the backward indexes, which will start from -1. So this will be at -1, this will be at -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, and -7. So if we want to access the list element, we can use the slicing operator or subscript. So in first line, I want to print the element which is at index 2. So I am writing A2. So this will give me the answer 30. In next line, I am writing the slicing operator. So the slicing operator works like it has three parts. First part is called start part. Then after colon there is stop part, or you can say stop index, or finally we have step part, that means, or you can say step value. By default it's start from 0, and the value of stop is by default the length of the list. So whatever the length of this list, this will be the stop value, and by default the step value is +1. So you have to remember all these things, and all these three are optional. So but you have to provide a statement like this. So if you just write this statement in Python, you will get the complete list, because you can see this is equivalent to 0 colon 7 colon 1. So either you write this thing or you just do not write this thing, they are the same statement, and they print all the elements of the list in forward direction. So for this code, the output will be the elements from 0, 1 and 2 index. You have to note that in Python we generally omit the upper bound, which is 3 here. So the element starting from index 0, 1 and 2 will be printed only. So this slicing operator will print the first three value 10, 20 and 30. Let's see another example. So in this example, I want to print the value starting from index 2 to 4. So this will at index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So index is starting from 2 up to 4, that means upper bound will be ignored. So the element will be printed here will be 30 and 40 only. Similarly, we can write A2 colon. In this case, I have omitted the end value and default step value. So this is equivalent to 2 colon len of, that means length of the list, which is A colon 1. So you can say it is equivalent to 2 colon 7 colon 1. So you can guess the answer. That means the element starting from index 2 up to the last element of this list, that is 30, 40, 45, 65 and 66. Similarly, we can use the positive index and negative index by combining them in a slicing operator. So start value right here is 1 and end value is at -3, and default step value is +1. So step value tell us in which direction we have to go. So a +1 value says we have to go by the right side, and -1 shows we have to go to the left side. So here we have omitted the step value, so default value will be +1. So this is equivalent to A1 colon -3 colon 1. +1 step also means we have to go one by one element, that means we do not have to skip any element. Okay, so the starting index will be from 1, which will be at here, and we will have to stop at index -3. So let have index negative indexes also here, -1, -2 and -3, and this will be at -4. So this is at -4, this is -3, -2 and -1, and this is index 1. So we are starting from index 1 and stop at index -3. That means the element will be printed from 20 up to 40. So these three elements will be printed for this statement. So the answer is 20, 30 and 40. Let's have another example in which I am using the indexes, both indexes start and end index as the negative values. So in this case, let's just write first the indexes -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6 and finally -7. So we are starting from -6 and we are ending at -3. So we will start from here and we will end up to this element. Okay, that means these elements, and here I have omitted the step part. So step part's default value will be +1, which says we have to go to the forward direction. So we can go to the forward direction because we are starting from here and we are ending up to here. So the answer of this line will be 20, 30 and 40. So here I will get the answer 20, 30 and 40, same as the previous one. So this is all about the basics of list elements. In next lecture we will discuss the functions of the list.